Hey guys, Bicycle Pair, bringing you the first of hopefully many Sanctum of Domination Mythic guides. I know it's a bit late in the tier, but I've started hitting some very good logs and I feel confident to kind of share my strategy and my thinking around cooldown usage, tips and tricks and so on. I hope some of you still are progressing this boss or maybe trying to improve your pass on the boss, and I hope this video is useful for that. To start off, let's look at some talent, gear, and soulbind choices. So for talents, we pick up Clawing Shadows because we will spend a lot of time away from this boss, and having that ranged attack is very good. Furthermore, we pick up Pestilent Pustules instead of Soul Reaper, and that's because the boss doesn't drop below 35% health, and the ads in the mission we can't really snipe with Soul Reaper, so Pestilent Pustules is just better. For legendaries, both Deadliest Call and Frenzy Monstrosity work quite well. I use Frenzy Monstrosity. It gives the same kind of amount of single target essentially, as well as a better AoE. You would sometimes swap Deadliest Call if you're having difficulties lining up your armies properly. Our raid kills the boss in such a time which makes it possible for me to have 4 armies with Frenzy Monstrosity without issue. Just try it out, see if it works for you, and pick up whichever enables your armies essentially. For soulbinds, obviously I'm running Necrolord. I'm picking up Marileth. Emma is a possible choice. It brings better AoE, but Marileth is just much better single target priority, and that's what we want for this boss. It also brings okay AoE because our Abomination Limb value is quite high because we have a period of downtime, which means that Kevin's going to gain more value. Anyway, let's just jump straight into it. Have a bit of a chat about which cooldowns we use, when we use them, and why we do so. To start off, we're going to use our normal Marileth Bloodlust Opener with Army, Double Fester into Abomination Limb, and then we have your Blight, IQD, Potion, everything. I'm also going to make sure I've used my Fresh Crop on cooldown just to gain value from that Marileth buff you get. You know that if you use Fresh Crop, you get Mastery because it kind of acts as if though you are humanoid. First exciting thing happening here is we're going to have some arrows dropping down. This first set I'm going to use Death and Decay and use Clawing Shadows Cleave. I see some people that use Outbreak into Epidemic Cleave. I think both options work, but it depends on which set it is. First set, they are sufficiently far away that you can't really use Outbreak, and they die so quickly that by the time you use double Outbreak, they're going to be dead anyway, which means Death and Decay into Clawing Shadows Cleave is much better. We get our cooldowns up, we're going to hold them because the boss jumps away, and we don't want to use our cooldowns and then just gain no value. So, as I use the gate to get to her, I use my Blight TT Apoc combo again. Alright, we're going to get some more arrows. This time around, I'm going to use my Death and Decay into Clawing Shadows Cleave again. This means I'm going to run quite far away from the boss so as to avoid the big AoE when she spawns it, and then I can sit in my Death and Decay and cleave through the entirety of the arrow duration. You can see here, runs quite far away. I stand close, so I do get to change. Put my Death and Decay a bit further away, run into it, and you can see here, I place it so that I don't need to run out of it from the big AoE. Alright, heading back to the boss. We have our cooldowns coming up soon. We're going to use those on the boss, even though the ads do spawn. They die so quickly that it's kind of not worthwhile to run out to use my cooldowns on them. I'm still going to try and put out my Outbreak and then get some Epidemics off, but they die so quickly I get very little AoE damage. My raid likes to kill them as soon as possible. You can see I had Fleshcraft coming up there again. I just tapped it to get the Mastery buff and then didn't channel it. Generally, when you're running Marileth, just tap it to get the Mastery. If you channel it, you're going to lose some DPS because you lose out on globals. Alright, we got the next set of arrows. These ones I'm going to try and do Outbreak on, as well as using Epidemic. This is because they generally spawn quite close to each other. I'm also going to pop down Death Decay in the middle, so I can use Outbreak, Epidemic spam, and then I can finish them off with Clawing Shadows Cleave. There we go. The left one's died, so I then moved into Clawing Shadows Cleave because that's more damage per execute. I control my pet to run over to the ads so that it can actually deal damage without me having to walk over there. Obviously, we want to minimize the amount of damage we take from the AoEs, and that's why we send over the pet, and just get the damage going instantly. We're gonna start ramping our runic power to the top, just to make sure we have enough to do epidemic spam here. I'm going to use Outbreak on 2 packs. I'm going to spam up Epidemic. I'm going to pop down Death and Decay at some point, and then finish off this last pack with the Claw and Shadow Cleave. Desert Dance is lovely here when you are targeted by a chain. Obviously, it stops the pulling effect, so you can just stand still and cleave without having to pay too much attention to dodging the rives. You might have seen as well, I think I used AMS when the big set of arrows dropped, because that's going to deal a lot of mag damage. It's going to help you hit that 100 runic power to do proper epidemic cleave. I'm running after the boss like an idiot here, and it's because I want to reduce my army timer. You can see I have 30 seconds left. I need to get that down to, I don't know, 15 or so, just to make sure I have an army up for the first set of ads. I'm assigned the first set of ads, which means I use my big cooldowns then, and that's why I need to focus on actually reducing my armor timer. If you run Deadliest Call, this is no issue at all, but with Transcend Monstrosity, it's something you need to think about. We've got the bridges. I'm quite a fan of jumping on bridges. I generally don't fall down, so I'm quite adventurous when it comes to jumping early and so on. Yeah, do this at your own discretion, so you don't accidentally jump off because you saw me doing some I don't know, fungus shenanigans. Right, pop our cooldowns, Deafenicate early, right? Pop everything, pump down your runic power, and then pop down Deafenicate so you can start cleaving. If you hold your Deafenicate too long, it's going to be detrimental, because what happens is that everything dies and you have like one target left and your Deafenicate doesn't do anything, so, use Deafenicate early and get that cleave going. I put my pet on passive, make sure it follows me, otherwise he can get stuck back there and just never, or very slowly, reach the boss, so we want to avoid that. Passive, follow, and then when it's back in the boss, put it back on. You can see I do click these abilities, sorry about that, I hope no one's offended, but I don't use pet passive and pet active unless I'm on this boss, generally. We want to use our cooldowns as soon as they come up here, just to make sure they are timed properly with the next platformer ads. If we hold them until after she does her veil, they're going to come up too late and we're going to lose out loads of damage due to it. She's going to do a wave. The wave means that she's going to go immune, so once she hits the wave, I'm just going to keep running to the next platform just to get some distance there, so I don't end up being left behind. We know how slow DKs are, so we need to really think about how we move, when we move, and think about being ready for movement. Whoop. That was incredibly close. That fell down, so you probably understand why I said earlier that do be careful about doing what I do. Right, I tap my Fleshcraft, get the buff, hold my Unholy Blight a couple seconds just to make sure I get the combo, get the orbs, get Deafenicate down, just do some Epidemic, and just do as much AoE as I can. We do end up getting some nice Deafenicate cleave, not too bad. I'm going to hold my limb here until the boss, the next burn phase. This is due to Limb really not doing anything at this point. If I pop it here, it's just going to be useless, hitting some ads we really don't need to be killing. And using Abomination Limb at this point makes it come up exactly for our third army. So that's nice, right? I get the most useful damage from it, no padding, it's just proper focus damage. I use it early, because obviously we're running Kevin with Marilith, and that lasts for 40 seconds, and the boss doesn't stay here for very long, so have to use it early to get the full value of little Kevin blob. You can see it's the buff up to the right there, has 12 seconds left now. And it's gonna, I think it's timed quite nicely if I use it as I did. Not sure if I mentioned this, but AMS works against the waves, so anytime I run to one of the big packs, you could see it when I pop my arm at start, and when I ran to the next set, I just pop my AMS, and I just don't need to care about the the waves. I'm also running the talent that increases my AMS duration, which means I get 20 seconds of, do whatever I want. Outbreak for the GCD will get a couple seconds of a dot. It's the best damage we can do on a single GCD. Anyway, tap refresh craft, and we're about to run into our cooldowns again. Now I'm going to use my potion here. So I use potion on pool, and then I use potion at this point, and then I'm going to use it when we lost later. The reason I use my potion here and not with my third army is because the time between third army and fourth army is not sufficiently long for me to use potion on both. So potion as you hit the platform and use your first set of cooldowns, and then we'll up for your blood loss later in the fight. Nothing too fancy going on here. We're going to jump to the next platform, and I'm going to set up my next army. I'm going to wait a couple seconds, both because my Blight and Dark Transformation aren't ready yet, and if I get my arrow here and use army, it's just going to be completely worthless. So I want to make sure I don't get arrow, and then I'm going to use my army. Pop my limp relatively early, make sure my Kevin gets out there, helps out, and then just use my KD and all my other cooldowns. We have the strategy where everyone stacks in the same spot every single pool. I have this little corner for myself, and that's where I'm going to stand every single time. You can see there are fireworks going off. It's because I bound the, I think, is it the 17th anniversary? I don't know. You get some fireworks. I put down my skirt strike, and there's, fireworks every 10 seconds to, get the mood going. Got Banshee's Fury. I like to use my aim Z for when we jump with arrows. I feel like that's a point where we are more likely to die generally. It depends though. Fury is also an excellent opportunity to reduce some damage intake, and you're just going to have to make that judgment yourself. I like using it arrows. Maybe you like using it on something else. I generally save my defensives for when I get the arrow, if I do get an arrow. You don't want to die just because you should use the defensive. That's another point, and don't have them when you do get the arrow. So you save them. If you get the arrow, you're going to survive, and generally you won't die anyway. You can see there when I do get the AoE, I just stand perfectly still so everyone else can move away from me. If someone stands close to me and gets it, I can then sidestep if I don't get it. It's a bit of a reactionary thing, but generally, if you are fast, you will never get a double hit. I think at some point in this fight, I'm going to be very stupid and just run through the entire raid with it. So, I wasn't really paying attention at that point, but that happens, Right, using all my cooldowns, we got Limb coming up in 10 seconds. I'm going to use it as soon as it gets up. This is just to make sure it's ready for army later. If I don't use it ASAP, it won't be ready. So smash that Limb button and then run out. Obviously, we lose a lot of value here because we have to run away from the boss, and then we have him jumping up and whatever. I think it's still worthwhile. I am assigned to soaking this. Let's see. Oh, there we go. No, I should have stayed still. I messed up. Anyway, I'm assigned to soaking that set of 4. I use my Death's Advance so I don't get knocked. I use my AMS to help soak the damage. Easy peasy. Yeah. Alright, cooldowns coming up again. Let's use them all, and then let's keep hitting the boss. We're looking very well on damage there, 7.9k, and that's only going to increase once we get to hit our army on the last platform. You see, when I got the knives, you just want to run out quickly and far. I see one mistake people do is that they don't run far enough, and then they end up cleaving out. Let's just start with just running out, and then after like 1 second, you can kind of, put yourself in a good place. Just don't stand still. That's going to cause issues. Run out and then sort yourself out after that point. You can see that I actually soaked another one of those soaky thingies. I wasn't quite sure if someone soaked this, so I just did it out of safety. Final platform. This is when you're going to get your heart rate going. If you do get the arrow, do look at the people in front of you and make sure she sends the arrow towards them before you go. Otherwise, you're going to get hit twice and die. We don't want that happening. Use my cooldowns early in this phase. I had to wait for them a little bit due to having to deal with arrow, so they come out a couple seconds late. It's kind of fine though. You have quite a lot of leeway, especially based on the lost timings we use. We can see I have 20 seconds left on Blight. We can lost in like 10 seconds, I believe, after this Veil of Darkness. I'm going to use my army with the rest of my cooldowns at that point. Here we go, we got lost. Everything is about to line up. We wait a couple seconds just to get a bit more CDR. Use my army. It's fine if everything else comes like 10 seconds later. You're going to get full overlap anyway. You can see here my Apocalypse comes quite late, but that's also fine. Hit everything we have. IQD, potion, just burn the boss. Everyone else sorts out the arrows. We are going to 1.2, 8.2, 8.3k, and the boss is dead. There we go. That's my rank 20 log. I hope you found this guide useful, and it helps you progressing the boss. And hopefully you can increase your damage by following the mindset I apply, and maybe, you know, swapping up whatever you want. Anyway, do leave a comment down below if you thought this was useful, if you want to see more of this kind of content. Do leave an upvote, downvote, depending on what you thought about the video. Do consider subscribing. Find me at Across Discord if you have any questions. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more content. Thank you.